Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today on NITRO Studio, and we're going to be talking today about NITRO Studio custom actions and workflows. It's part of a series we're doing. But before we get going on that, I do want to mention that there is in your GoToWebinar panel, user panel there's a questions box, and you can put your questions in there, and we'll try and answer them during this webinar. If we don't get to them during the webinar, we'll be glad to send email after or have a one-on-one conversation, because I think a lot of times the one-on-one conversations go a long ways towards being able to explain what, your question or explain what we're doing with NITRO Studio, and it really helps to have those conversations. And we'd like to hear what your story is and what you're doing and how you're looking to use and automate business processes inside of Office 365, Microsoft Teams, or SharePoint on premises, whatever environment you're in. We operate in all three of those. Now, just to get us started, we'll be covering the forms and workflows as I mentioned. But what I want to point out, what NITRO Studio, if you're not familiar with it, is a platform for building business process automation solutions on top of the Microsoft Office 365, which includes Teams, of course, and also in the SharePoint on-premises world, which is 2013, 16, 19, and the new SE version. We operate in both on-premises, either or, and Office 365. Some of the tools from Microsoft, such as Power Platform, they only operate on the cloud, but we operate in all of them. We have a long history of working inside the Microsoft collaboration spaces. We go all the way back to 1999. We've been here almost 25 years now doing these kind of programs. And we kept up with the latest technologies, and the latest now from Microsoft is the Office 365, Teams, SharePoint environments. So I want to point out here with this quote and kind of give a background of why NITRO Studio and Crow Canyon have been around so long, why we have so many customers and interest in what we're doing. It's because our goal really as developers, as solution providers, is that we want to, this is a great quote to get back, because it says exactly what we're aiming for: an intuitive and user-friendly set of tools. We use the same NITRO Studio to build our applications that we sell out of the box, such as our help desk, our asset management, our purchasing programs, and the others. So we needed to build NITRO Studio so that it was easy for us to use also. And when we sell the NITRO Studio as a platform itself, we do both things. We sell out of the box and we sell the platform. We sell our out-of-box applications like the help desk and asset management and purchasing and contract management and others. But we also sell the platform itself for people who want to build their own solutions. That gained a lot of popularity with people who were moving away from old solutions like access forms or InfoPath forms, Lotus Notes, and that kind of stuff. So we needed to build an intuitive and user-friendly set of tools, and that's exactly what we did. That allows non-technical users to create solutions and automate business processes. And that's really satisfying for us to get that kind of quote and that kind of feedback from our customers, because it means we've achieved our goal to make organizations able to utilize SharePoint or Office 365 and Teams in the best way possible to accelerate their efficiency and accelerate their business automation. NITRO Studio is affordable, it's easy to use, comprehensive, and we are proud of our support and training. We have a number of resources available to anyone who joins up with us. We have, we're known for a high level. We have, the chat, tickets, email form, all the different things listed there, because our goal is the customer success, and that's what keeps us going. And not only for us personally, it's a very exciting and satisfying to have that feedback, but it's also, of course, sustains the company and our long-term, our longevity of it. So it's good both ways. So what we have going on this summer, summer series, we started with a webinar in July, which was why NITRO Studio is better than Power Platform. It's just straight out up. That's the feedback we get. That's our experience. We think we're better. We're lower cost. Power Platform has a lot of confusing pricing schemes, where you're using Power Apps, Power Automate. In fact, the group here, the team here, Jeff and James are on with me. I'm Scott, by the way, Scott Restivo. I'm on with James and Jeff are here. And we were looking through we did a review once again of the Power Automate pricing, and we're like, huh? And we collectively, we probably have over 50 years in this industry, IT, and we worked with Microsoft for 25 years. And still the Power Automate price, it was like really funny. Can anyone figure this out? It's like really convoluted. And the fortunate thing for us, I guess, as Crow Canyon doing NITRO Studio, is that that kind of obscurity and opaqueness of their pricing leads people to give us a call and say, hey, look, I don't know what I'm going to be paying when I put something on Power Platform. Is this a flow? What's a flow? What's not a flow? How much does it cost? How many am I going to run? The thing with NITRO Studio, what we did, because we are meant for, you know, we're like at your level, the users levels, you know, we're down in the field, you know, working this out. And so what we did is, look, our customers don't want variable pricing. You buy our tenant license or farm license if you're on premises, and that's the price you pay recurring. It's a recurring subscription every year, and that's it. You know, you don't have by the number of forms, the number of flows. The only thing we price it by is the number of users. So how many users in your tenant, and actually on the SharePoint farms is how many WFEs, web front end servers, you have. So we keep the pricing nice and simple, nice and known. So next year you set your budget, and then you know what the price is going to be. You don't know, like, if you run that purchasing, you know, the Power Platform built application, how many times you're going to run it and how much cost you're going to get, what the bill from Microsoft will be.
Scott, hey, real quick, do you mind if I jump in real quick on that note? I wanted to share a story real quick that I think is relevant to what you're saying, that I think in the real world, this is real world scenario that, you know, whoever is attending this might have either experienced or may experience in the future, or may have heard of. But recently we had a conversation with an organization. They had 4,000 users, and they had spent 8 months building out their solution on Power Platform. Now, one of the things they said was they did find internally that some of their, you know, sort of experts, you know, quote unquote experts, had found that the Power Platform for them was fairly intuitive to design, to build, but still, again, it was an 8-month project. When they got to it, before they actually deployed these workflows they had built, they said, look, we're going to stop. They tried to understand and analyze pricing. They said, right now, our biggest concern is pricing, the variable pricing, the confusing price model. So they had a very, you know, a couple discussions with us so far, thinking that they are going to do some serious due diligence around the NITRO Studio because of the fixed base, their ability to budget. And I think what I find interesting about these conversations that we've had, you know, with customers as well as some of our partners out there, that says, hey, you know, a lot of times we have engaged and started down the Power Platform path to build out a solution for our clients, and as we got far enough down, and then we had, you know, flows and users, as well as you know, premium connectors, and then of course there's this debate over, you know, who benefits, who doesn't benefit, in the cost, where they've had clients pull the plug on them for that solution just because the cost had started to run into a certain sort of an amount that was beyond their budget, and they pulled the plug. So it's very, very confusing. Even us as experts in this space, and even in the Microsoft stack, it's incredibly difficult to understand how to budget for these applications. Not to mention, you might build one application, but maybe you're going to build a lot more. And I think that's the value proposition of the NITRO Studio, is that once you bought it, you can run wild and you can build as many applications, workflows, forms as you want, and it's already sort of bought and paid for in the subscription fee, and there's no limitations around that.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jeff. And like, we provide, like I say, in you know, high level support and training opportunities. And we find, and just like that quote I had at the beginning, when people get on board with NITRO Studio, they're like, why didn't I find this earlier, or something like that. So we present this webinar series, as I say, and why NITRO Studio is better. It's going to have 3. That's the main one, and then there's 3 others. We did forms last week, and next week, today we're doing the flows, the workflows, and all that. And next week we'll be working with MS Teams. So if you're in Teams and you're interested in our NITRO Engage bot, our NITRO bot for Teams, or Engage bot, it's a good. We'll go into that in depth next week. It's really cool the using Teams in that way, that you can do your requests through it, you can do approval through it. You know, do almost all the. You'll be surprised. You can think almost all the work of managing a request or ticket can be done through Teams if you want to use that environment and your users are amenable to that kind of environment. Of course, they could still be using email or portals or SharePoint or whatever. but the Teams option seems to be becoming more popular these days. Okay, so today we're going to talk about workflows and custom actions in the NITRO Studio. We have two things going on. We have the Workflow Manager, which is equivalent to automated and scheduled workflows. In Power Automate, they have this thing called automated workflows and scheduled workflows, and that's what our NITRO Workflow Manager covers, in the sense that the workflow runs based on some automated, like item is created, a status change, or whatever triggers it. And the schedule, of course, is scheduled according to a certain time, maybe based on the due date or the contract expiration date or the response due date or something like that. Whatever, it can be based on a schedule, or just every Tuesday or every July 1st or whatever. So that's one way you can do it. The other way is with custom actions. Custom actions are what in the Power Automate world they call instant flows, and that's because you can simply click a button. So we have the same thing in our NITRO custom actions. You press the button, whether it's on the form itself or up in the ribbon. But it's user initiated is the point, and we'll dig into some examples of that in a moment. You can automate many processes that are common business processes. This is not an exhaustive list at all. When I say approvals, escalations, auto assignment, task management, notifications, scheduled reports, document generation, integration with external systems. I mean, there's so much you can do with these workflows and custom actions. Call REST APIs, interact with outside databases, generate documents, post things in Teams. Anything you want pretty much can be built in from these NITRO workflows and custom actions. It's quite a powerful set of tools. We now have the visual designer, where you're setting up the flow and seeing it visually, with different gateways and decision points and processes that happen depending on certain conditions inside the request or ticket. For instance, is it a ticket about networking? Is it a ticket about desktop? Is it a purchase over $1,000, or is it purchase over $10,000? All these different routes it can take. Is it this kind of access request for this? Is it just anything you can imagine? Even leave requests. We get sometimes pretty complicated workflows just because it's based on whether it's Family Medical Leave, FMLA Act, or whether the person has time off or not. I mean, so anything you want to design, we put it together into a visual workflow designer. Now, last week we covered our forms designer. We'll show some of that today. Next week, we're going to cover the NITRO Engage bot for Teams. And in NITRO Studio itself is a number of other components that come together to make a very comprehensive all-inclusive tool that you can build your solutions on. So let's jump right into some demonstrations rather than going on. We're not big lately. I've been doing a lot of these webinars over the years, and lately I'm just not big on PowerPoint as much. Let's do a show and tell. Let's show what you got, right? So what we did last week is we started just as an example, this access request system. It's just a way to demonstrate some features of NITRO Studio in an easy way. We took it from the bare bones last week of just being a list with a few columns in it and turned it into a nice looking NITRO form with different capabilities on it. We did a little talk about the bot and how that can be used. This is a very simple program because we only built it in like 20 minutes, 2 seconds, as they say. No, but really it was 20 minutes. And we put some fields on here and different things to make that. So we were focused on the forms, the NITRO form side of things. And today we're going to go into the custom actions and workflows that power it, because you got to have both things going on. You got to have a UI that engages and empowers users and gets the information you want using dynamic forms, mobile forms, whatever methods work. We've got it covered, called omni-channel support, and the support for the users, for the staff, for the managers. All the UI is very important, but the second component that's also critical is, of course, the workflows and processes that streamline operations and drive business efficiency, and make it so that by the click of a button or a scheduled event, automated event, work is getting done behind the scenes. This is how you drive productivity and efficiency, by making things happen automatically through these easily automated processes here. So first, to explain, this is running inside of SharePoint, whether it's on premises, Office 365. This happens to be Office 365. And underneath, or you could say in conjunction in this site, we have a site here. Well, it's kind of a long name. Sites, NITRO Workshops Access is the site right here, if you're familiar with SharePoint. And the thing is, in that site itself is our NITRO Studio. we have installed it into this site collection and activated it in this site. It's very simple to do that. And you can activate it in many sites as you want. You can really control the permissions on who has use of NITRO Studio or not. But underneath it is this access request system. Make sure I got the right one here. This is, no, that's the other one. So let me go over to this one. Same thing, but this is the site we're talking about right here. This is NITRO Studio. It has all these different tools in it. We talked about the form designer last week. We're going to talk about workflows, custom actions, and other components this week. So let's take a look. We'll go back and forth a little between this and that, okay? So we start with the access request system here. Here, this one. Excuse me, this one. I got too many things open. This one right here. We're starting with this one. Too many tabs. So here, not much going on with actions here at all, right? There's really nothing, nothing except for edit and close, really. So we'll close it. Those are standard buttons. And now if we go to, we can kind of come from two different directions. One is we go to the form and start adding buttons to it, or we could go to NITRO Studio and work from the workflow level or the custom action level. So we'll kind of look at both ways of going about it, but you will notice that there's NITRO components right here in the ribbon. This is the modern view and modern UI. There's also a classic option here, but it's right there in the in here available for you to access, or you can go to that back end through application administration. You can go there and get to our NITRO Studio. Either way, you get there, it goes to the same place, whether I click NITRO Forms here or I click NITRO Forms here, you're getting the same ability to modify the forms. Now, this is just one example of where you can put a custom action. The custom actions are here in the form designer, and you just can put a custom action right up here. You can put it at someplace else on the form if you want, you know, if you wanted to, or down at the bottom. You know, all kinds of places you can put this button that's going to run the custom action and start to automate the processes. Another thing we do is you can put different like submit actions down here and arrange it the way you want. You can change the title. You can hide the save and cancel button. So you can really integrate the actions in the forms quite well. And I'll show you a more advanced version of our access request system where we did that. But the point is, once it's on there, what is the button going to do, right? So that's over here in the select custom action. Well, there's a list of custom actions. There are none yet because we haven't built any. So now we can go over to the custom action tool and decide what custom action is going to run when we push this button. So that can be done either going through here or through our NITRO Studio custom actions. Here we are in the custom actions right here. And so let's look at what we can start to build here in the custom actions. Right now, there's really nothing much in this. Like I said, just some error log stuff that comes with NITRO Studio. So what we want to do is we want to build a new custom action. What we're going to do is say, okay, let's make an escalate action so that when the item is getting overdue, we're going to escalate it automatically, right? And we take our workflow designer right here, our custom action designer in this case, and you can see that it's, you know, the visual actions right here, and you have a number of actions that you can add in here, all these different actions. It's a lot to take in. If you've never seen this before, it's a lot to kind of absorb because it's just so much you can do in you know, even us and me especially get surprised sometimes. You can do that? Well, I didn't know that. And you know, you just, because there's all different ways you can use these things. So what's really important, that's why I say one thing I enjoy, and I think the team does enjoy also, is just hearing what is out there in the real world for you. You guys are, you know, you're at the front end of putting all these actions together. What do you need? What processes are you trying to automate? What kind of difficulties and issues are you running into? I don't know. I find that fascinating. How about James, Jeff? You know, to me, that's the exciting part of being in this business, is hearing what's going on and what problems we can solve, right?
Oh yeah, that's a big part of, absolutely a big part of it, is understanding how we're driving efficiencies for our businesses using these platforms. And I think it's a huge part of what we offer to our customers. A huge value add is the ROI is really quite considerable for when we get these processes in place and get them, you know, these processes running efficiently through workflows, notifications, actions. It's going to definitely drive up your productivity with your company and just make things easier.
Well, I'm just saying it's just fun for me personally to hear what people have, situations they have, and just try and solve them. course, it's got the benefit to the company too, of course, that we're doing it for. But anyway,
well, I guess it's a different aspect of the fun for me, is like to understand how we're improving the processes for businesses.
That's right.
I enjoy that part of it.
All right, so we're going to do an escalation and make it, only so much time we have, so we can. So when we're going to escalate, what's going to happen? Okay, you're going to press a button that says, "Ooh, this request has not been handled. Let me escalate it." So we're going to update the list item, and we're going to change the priority to high. So, okay, so set priority as high. Set priority to high, right? It's to make it high priority. That's one thing you can do. So pre-define custom value. We're going to find the one of priority. Oh, I don't have priority on here in my new system. Oh, what a dummy. All right, let's just change the due date to be today then, or something, right? We'll make it today. Okay. So anyways, you can update whatever columns you have on there. And it said part of the due date to today. Somebody, I thought I had put it on there. I don't know. Due today. It said due date to today. So the due date becomes today. I don't know. Okay, that's one. It's just showing that you can update the list item quite easily. Then you want to send an email out to somebody, or maybe you want to send an SMS text. You want to do that. You could either send an email or text to somebody. Also, you can send a Teams message to people, to a Teams. Every way you want to notify people that there's some kind of thing going on with the ticket that needs to be resolved. So we're going to escalate. We're going to send that. We're going to send a message out. We're going to maybe reassign it to someone else if you want. But we'll send an email out to somebody, and then that will be when you push a button, it's going to do these actions that you want. Now you can also do things like this. You could say, okay, let's do this. We'll set the due date to today, but we're going to put a decision point in here that says if it's this particular type of request, a particular category, we're going to go in a different direction. So let's just show you that. This is just how it works. So let's go here. We're going to go into send SMS text over here. Just a kind of an example of what are the possibilities with this. Of course, your process could be very different, but it's just to give you an idea what's going on. So now we're going to say, check category, right? So if the category here, and we're going to add a condition which says this category, here it is, category is equal to, now we get our choices right here, makes it easy to select it without having to put it in. So there's the database. If the category is database, go to label 1. If it's not, go to label 2. And now what we're going to do, of course, is change this to say level 1 is the database, database route, and the other one is not database. Let's just say not database, right? Not database. So what you have here is you say, okay, every time the person presses escalate, it's going to set the due date to today, or the priority to high, or whatever else you want to do. But then it's going to hit a decision point and say, is it a database category or not? Category equals database, or category is not equal to database. You can take different routes. You start to see how you can build this workflow in more and more. So maybe in this case, you want to send an email if the database to somebody, and if it's not the database, or whatever category. This could be, think of purchasing. If it's above $1,000, go this route. If it's below $1,000, go that route. If it's an access request for building 1, go here. Access request for building 2, go there. It's because different people might need to be informed, or different routes. And this guy over here, it's not database. They prefer to get text. And these people prefer email, or maybe they prefer to get a Teams message. So you can start to go around like that and create these workflows. Well, this is a custom action, an instant flow that can go in different routes and start to get very, very involved and very, involved as you need it to be, but really take care of your conditions and start to automate processes easily. And this drag and drop capability here makes it so easy to do this. And then of course you would go here and you would put either it goes to someplace else or it goes over to the endpoint, whatever works here to get it go to the, endpoint like that. And then you can move that so it's a little cleaner. So there you go. Or you could put another decision point here if you wanted. Maybe if it's a different kind of database, SQL versus Oracle, it goes different places. Or then over here, you could say, well, it's not database, but it's networking, and networking goes one way, and desktop solutions go another way. I mean, you can get to see the idea that you've got all these possibilities. So let's look at some of the possibilities. You can add a list item, I mean, create a new list item in a SharePoint list anywhere in the site. It doesn't have to be in the same list. You can update list items, change the priority, status, you can delete one. You can execute scripts. If you want to write a little JavaScript that does something that's not already out here in our actions, you can send emails. You can send texting. You can invoke a web service. This little thing hides a lot right here. That the fact of invoking a web service means you can basically communicate with any system out there that's on the web and provides a service interface. There's a lot behind this invoke web service capabilities. Some people want to do document generation, so you can upload a document to the system. You can generate a document. You can invoke a workflow. So in the workflow, you say, okay, I'm running this now. I want to invoke a workflow. The workflow you can invoke could be a SharePoint 2010, 2013, whatever their designer workflows are. It could be a Crow Canyon, which really means a NITRO workflow. You can even invoke a Power Automate if you happen to have one you want to use for some reason. You can invoke it as part of the NITRO Studio. See, we kind of get all these possibilities grouped together, and that's why you say NITRO Studio is a very comprehensive tool. It can do all these different things and different possibilities depending on how you want your business process to run. And the other thing is, once you get it in place, you can always modify it a bit and adjust it and tweak it, and there's error logs and debugging. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know James was going to mention debugging.
Yeah, debugging is a big part of it. Yeah, and that's a huge part of it, is just making sure it's working correctly and running through the process correctly. So it's a huge value add to be able to debug your workflow before you actually publish it.
That's actually right, absolutely right. And you can also save it, then import it and export it to other lists. Of course, some of the parameters of the list have to be similar in order to do that, but it makes it really easy to import and export different workflows back and forth. And of course, when this is published, I'd have an export capability here. I haven't published this yet, so it's only has the import capability. And also you can have different settings where of course, you got to give it a title, but you also can tell where you want this custom or instant flow to show up. It would be in your display form, in your edit control block, in your item print manager list. You got all these possibilities. What confirmation? Do you really want to run this? Are you sure you want to run this?
And you can run it. And just to point out, you can run it for multiple items at one time if you have a list view ribbon. You can
That's select. Right.
Yeah, go ahead, click that list view ribbon just to show you can see it's got that
enabled for multiple items. Yeah, I think we have that going in the older system here, where you have a custom action up in the ribbon. Anyway, what you do is you can select multiple items. Well, maybe not all of them, but it's like 2 or 3 of these, and then you're going to have a custom action run up here. Like here, escalate would run on all those. It would escalate all of those. If you wanted to do that, all those at once. It's set up to do, say you want to close a whole bunch of tickets at once, right? Or a bunch of requests, it could do that. And there's all kinds of possibilities like that. If you in edit control block, it took me a while to figure out, but that's basically this right here. The three dots. So escalate is right here also. Generate quote, upload documents, assign requests, all that's possible. Those are all the custom actions we have in the develop system we have going over here. But going back to our kind of proto system over here, we were monkeying around with this a little. There's also conditions you can set, only run this under certain conditions, or only certain users have rights to run it. And then there's variables you can do. So I was going through the list over here, and then I got segued over to debug. But anyway, you can invoke web services, upload documents, invoke other workflows, generate documents, query the list and get variables back to you. You can invoke other custom actions. You can interact with teams, with messaging, channel, or post an adaptive card. You can launch URL. You can invoke Azure functions. You guys got enough yet? See, when I say comprehensive, I mean comprehensive. And you can parse CSV files. This is, we've been doing this for years, and we get feedback all the time of, can you do this, can you do that? And if, I think parse CSV we added fairly recently because people wanted to use CSV files to create list items and do other things like that with it, or update list items. So we had a tool like that we were using that was separate. So we just brought that into NITRO Studio and made it all one big happy family there. So that's the custom action. I'm not going to close this because I want to go before, run out time. We try to keep these like 45 minutes or so, is go over to the NITRO workflows and show you those. The NITRO workflows, it's similar, but the thing is, this is automated, it's scheduled, more not based on user pushing a button, but more on an event happening, such as item created. Well, you'll see right here. Let's look at what they are. Let's not even ask. Item created, modified, deleted. It's created or modified. It's based on a date column. It's scheduled, or it's user triggered or bot triggered, or your kind of scheduled report. See, whatever event you want to automate, that's the automation and scheduling we put into one place right here, both these flows. Oh, a lot of times people are running things on item created. A lot of times people are running when an item is modified, such as the status changes or something's added to it or whatever. And other times people are running it on the date and time field because they want to know, like, if it's 1 week before the due date, do something like notify the user, notify the manager. If it's past the due date, do that. What I was talking about with escalation, where you're going to change the priority or maybe reassign it. I mean, you want to get out the when it goes beyond the due date or the contract expired, you want to get out the trumpets and start blaring like, hey, get going, something needs to be done. Call like, and that's kind of what happens with the date column item if it's exceeded. And then we get a lot of people using the scheduled thing where it's the scheduled option where it's like whether it's every month, every week, or just based on whatever criteria, send out a report or do something, generate a whole set of tasks every July 1st to reorient the defibrillator or something. I don't know. We do a lot with maintenance. I shouldn't be so cavalier about that. Actually, that's very useful for our maintenance and asset management programs, where every month or every quarter or whatever they have to do something. So they get this workflow runs. What does the workflow do? It creates a bunch of tasks, or it notifies people that, hey, Q1 just started, or August 1st just started, or September 1st. You need to go change the filters in such and such machine. And it generates, not only tells them by notification, it actually generates the task. And it can be a whole set of tasks that happen all at once, like assigned to different people. So, it's actually pretty cool, isn't it? Scheduled. Let's do that one. I like that one. Because fall's coming and it's time to, chop the wood and make the jam or something, right? So I don't know, whatever you have to do in the fall to get ready for winter. I say that funny, but in facilities, they do have to do things like get ready for the fall, if you live, not in California, we live in a warm climate here, but other climates you do. So what you do is you could create an item, a set of items, a whole bunch of tasks. You could notify people, you could send stuff to the Teams channel. You could, do many things that are preparations, when that scheduled event. So here, let me go over to the settings is really what I want to do. So you can schedule it every hour, every day, every week, every month, the last day of the month, the last day at hour, all these different ways you can schedule your event to run. It could be every month on day one, and all kinds of stuff you can do on your schedule to say, okay, when that is automatically hit, because it happens to be July 1st, happens to be September 1st or whatever, it's going to generate all these different items, create all these different items. Or it could be just simply sending an email or notification or whatever kind of activity is needed. And that's why, in a webinar, I have to be a little generic, but if we talk to you guys personally, or anybody just wants to open a conversation, then we can go in and say, okay, let's talk about what your actual need is here and get it done. Does our wide range of possibilities work for you? And this is workflows is a little different than custom actions. You'll notice it looks the same. It's very similar actions. very similar layout in UI. It has the same, gateways where you can do decision points and all that kind of stuff. But it also has a little bit different actions in the sense you can manage permissions. Now, that's a new one. What else is? I don't think there's, generate a document. That was in custom actions. Well, you can move items. There's slight little differences, based on what you can do with the workflow versus a custom action, due to the fact that custom action is user oriented and the workflow is scheduled or automated, but very similar other than that you're creating these things. And then they run in the background. Now, like James was saying, there's the debug capability, there's the import export capability, there's setting different conditions on when they run, when the whole process runs or not runs, who can run it, who has the permissions to do it, different variables you can use. And we can set up all these different processes that happen. So let me show you the system that's going on already. And I don't know if there's any questions. There seem to be any questions, but that's, I guess everybody's thinking about it, what's going on here. So this is an access request system that's a little more created, a little more developed. And what we have going here is that you have, a list. Somebody has like asking for access to building 1 or YZ or needs SQL permissions or anything like that that they want to get done. And okay, the request is created. Then it's kind of like, so what? It sits there. You're gonna, but the business process automation is what makes it so interesting and powerful, and really makes it work and really makes things move along. So just submitting this, just puts an item in the list. You have to do things. You have to notify people. You have to let people know about it. You have to maybe instantiate or kick off, I guess, a better word, different processes that happen when a new item is created. That could be an auto reply back to the user. Hey, we got it. It could be notifying the manager or the dispatcher or whoever's in charge of the access request program. It could be if it's an access to a SQL database or Oracle, it could be notifying the DBA that something has to be done. If it has an approval process, it go notify the approver. It can also kick off, when it's approved, then it could kick off other tasks. Or when the DBA is done, maybe it goes a sequential tasks that happen. Or approvals could be sequential too, where it's like approver 1, then it goes to approver 2, then approver 3. All these can be set up with the workflows. And then meanwhile, you're keeping communication with the user if you wish to when the status is changed to approved, let them know. When the status is changed to resolved, let him or her know. So these things can go back and forth, and it provides a communication path through send an email or even text or Teams messages back and forth to it. So all these workflows can be built in depending on how you want. It's really up to you how you want it to do. So what do we have going here on this one is we have all these options: escalate, generate a quote, upload documents, assign requests, details. Let's open this guy up. Let's open one that's already been approved, actually. Let's go to need access to SQL Server, high priority, just see what we can do here. And we put all this stuff on here. I look at this now, it's like, that's a little much there, a little much. But the point is, we just wanted to make some cool examples for you guys to look at, which is that we can round the buttons, we can turn green, we can put icons on. It's just, eye candy, of course, right? But it's there, and it's because, that is part of the NITRO Studio Forms design. It's a UI element. We can make the background different colors and all these different things. We have different tabs on here. We put this different coloring of the repeating rows. We had a signature over here. It's just a bunch of stuff to show you, but what's really important is the functionality, so we can escalate this. What happens when I escalate this one? Is this one resolved? I haven't looked at this. It's assigned to Pavan. The requester is admin account. It's a database for SQL. Response was due a few days ago. Employee name. Okay, so let's escalate it because it looks like it's today's the 18th. Something should have been done on the 13th. Are you okay? You're really sure about this? Okay, funny message. Somebody put a message in there. You're really sure? Are you really sure? Anyway, so we want to say who we're going to assign it to. So we're going to not assign it to Paul. We're going to assign it to James. James, you're not busy, right? We'll assign it to James.
No.
See, you can even have. Isn't that cool though? You can have user input in the middle of your custom action, right? Send email to manager, user input, whatever. Actually, what it did, if you noted, you probably didn't notice this, because now I'm thinking about it. Because it's a SQL database, it asked us for input, but if it was not a SQL database, it would have just automatically assigned it to someone else. That's kind of cool. Now, you don't have to have that screen that I just had show. That's one of the options in custom actions. So now it's been priority is high. What else did we do in that escalation? I have to look what the escalation does. I don't, but what it does is it notified the manager, I guess is the most important thing here. You can have other buttons assigned it to self, update due date on the child task. All the child tasks are due date of wow, back in 20. So let's update, that's not good. So let's update all the due date on the child task. Query the list, which ones are the child tasks for this ticket. Let's update them all and be done. And then refresh the screen and see if it actually updated these to in there. Or set it to 0. I guess I didn't say what the due date to update it to. Anyway, I get so enamored by all the different possibilities here. I didn't think to test that one out. But it takes 2 seconds to go in and set the right due date there. Anyway, so all these different things you can do in the middle of this access request. Now, James, do you want to jump in and say anything here?
No, I mean, I think you got it covered pretty well. I mean, I think it's really the combination of the tools that we have that are going to be you get all this with NITRO Studio. It's like the workflows are a piece of it. That's what we're kind of focusing on today, but we're kind of touched on a little bit the UI aspect. You can see in that user access that we were just looking at. It's got some UI elements. You can highlight things. You can change the rounding of the buttons. So there's a lot of UI stuff you can do from the forms perspective. There's just a lot you can do here. And I think the great thing is you have the options to run instant workflows like we're talking about. You have the option to do scheduled. You have the option to do event-based. You also have the option to do triggered. You could, well, kind of an instant workflow, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just a lot of flexibility, a lot of options here, a lot of extensibility as well. I mean, that's part of it too, is that maybe we haven't talked about too much is, if you don't have the action directly in there, you can, there's like a JavaScript action you can run if you want to write some JavaScript to do it. There's, so there's extensibility for kind of more developer-minded customers who are able to do that. But there's also a lot in there for the citizen developer to build these flows, build these workflows in place, and just manage these processes. I mean, just as an example, we use this internally. Like we use our NITRO Studio, and I think, I don't know if everyone's aware of that, but we do. We use our own stuff, and it has greatly improved our processing internally here as a small company. And I'm not a developer by any means, but I've used NITRO Studio extensively to manage our processes, to create custom actions, to create workflows that just help drive the process, drive notifications, make sure nothing gets lost in the shuffle, make sure handoffs between different parts of a process are handled correctly. So we're real life examples as well of using this tool effectively and building out these flows and building out these processes that are really quite robust and really quite capable. So
that's right. That's right. I was going to show something about generating documents I think is really kind of interesting here. And this one I don't think has the document on it already. So what I want to do is look at this one and say it doesn't have an attachment on it, right? There's no attachment down here, no signature. Okay, so if I go here and I say generate document, because what I kind of, this idea of an access request certificate, it could be anything, a purchase order, an invoice, or something like that. So here we go, and it should have this new attachment just by going generate document. There's an attachment down here. It wasn't here before. Certificate of access. Let's see what that looks like. And then you can email that to somebody. Access request of James Manager. Of course, you could pretty it up a little bit, but that's basically what we did. Is this a certificate? We generated a document right here, right?
Yeah, I think this is a part we need to really emphasize too. Is like, it's not just the forms and workflows. You can get that from other tools, but the generate document action is something that's built into the workflows. But there's also a printing aspect to this as well that I think is important to highlight with NITRO Studio in general. Is that you have this ability to print out your data in any way you see fit. These are just examples here of templates that we put in place but you can use that print template to, in the generate document action, we use this template to print it out. But you could just go and print this out directly on your printer or save it as a PDF manually as well.
Oh, you can email it also, yeah.
Right.
Email
it, embed it, embed it, kick off it. You can even kick off an action from within the print manager. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of extensibility there. That is, I think that's really the what we're looking at. Is it's not just these standalone products of forms and workflows and custom actions. It's this integration of all these capabilities that we've learned from years of doing application development that are what real users are going to want to use and need, including ourselves. Like I said, we use it extensively. So,
absolutely. Yeah. That's actually right. And email, like for instance, this one, you can email the PDF to preset it, if you want, just all kinds of stuff you can do. What I mean is you can email it to somebody like a manager create the PDF and email it right then and there, right, to preset addresses. And if you want to do that, you just go here and say, okay, we're going to email it to somebody. You send PDF to manager, bada bing, bada bing. The more you think about it, James, you're absolutely right, is that it's this comprehensiveness. We look at Power Platform or other tools, and they're kind of more, I don't know, collection of things. We have not only the Power, we have the forms, somewhat equivalent to Power Apps, that we think our forms are better. We have the NITRO workflows and custom actions. We have reporting. We have the NITRO Studio Engage, the NITRO Engage bot, which, that's next week. Be sure to sign up for it. And so you can see that next week in action. I could give a teaser right now and see what it looks like in Teams. Maybe I'll do that before the end. But all these things come together with all these other features that are in NITRO Studio. So, we only covered forms, workflows, reports, portals, advanced approvals, branding, custom actions, email and text sync, email manager, ID columns, linked items, list formatting, list rollup, list search, list view, print manager, tiles and dials. And then if you're in the Office 365 world, you have the AI services, the bots, the modern UI web parts, the Teams integration. This is a comprehensive, all-inclusive tool, and you're not paying for each one, not sitting there scratching your head like we were the other day. When we looked at Power Automate pricing. If someone gets value or benefit out of this, a license is required. How do you even define getting value and benefit out of something? I mean, it's really convoluted pricing that, I don't know, for me, it drives me crazy. I think it would drive anyone crazy who was trying to go through that. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe someone out there says, no, I figured it all out. You guys, if so, give me a call or give us a call, send an email, and we'll talk with you and say, yeah, really? How'd that all happen? What'd you find? But the feedback we're getting is not that way. And, let's be honest between us, Microsoft's a $3 trillion company for some reason. I mean, they charge us. We pay them a lot of money for Azure services and everything else. Why, if you don't need to go, run up your bill just because it's Microsoft, Power Automate, it doesn't mean it's the best thing on the market by any means, And the other thing is that you can also, I'm just say that boldly. Anyone can disagree with me. I'm fine with disagreement, but I've been in this 25 years since well, actually, I go back to the 1990s, before internet was just getting going. Microsoft was using DOS back then. I remember we went to the Windows release in San Francisco back to Windows 95 event in San Francisco. So I go way back. Okay, so whatever value that is, but hopefully it is. We didn't build this just for the heck of it. We build this because customers want it. They need it. They don't want to go through the convolutions and problems that Power Platform presents. And also, if you're on premises, Power Platform isn't even there. Forget about it. Forget about it, as they say.
Yeah. Well, you have to build, or you could use complicated connectors to make it work. But
more to the point, you pay for those.
Yeah, more to the point too. I think we got to bring this up as well as a point, is that we have detailed training curriculum for NITRO Studio as well. So we want to make sure that's known, is that we have the whole curriculum where we walk you through. We don't just give it to you and like, good luck. We do have a lot of things out there. We have videos, we have manuals, we have documentation, of course. But I think another value add is that this whole NITRO Studio training curriculum, that we can walk you through each of these elements in detail greater detail than we were able to do on any of these workshops or webinars, and really hammer down into the specific pieces that you're looking to deal with. And that's a one-on-one training. It's not just like a batch training where we get a whole bunch of people from different organizations in one place. We target it towards an organization. If you have specific questions you want to drive towards, it's almost becomes in a sense like consulting work in a sense, but I think that's something we help you get up and running with this, and we want you to be successful with it, of course.
Yeah, James does these workshops like one or two a month, and they're very popular. We have a community forum, we have knowledge base, live chat, support tickets. Now the thing is, there is a question about each end user need a license for NITRO Studio. What we do is we just license it by the tenant. How many people are in your tenant, or if you're on a SharePoint farm, it'd be how many WFEs, web front end servers you have. And it's an annual subscription of a certain amount. So, if you've got 100 users or 500 or 5,000 or whatever, we just license it accordingly. And almost everyone we speak to finds it very reasonable pricing for the amount of value they gain from it. And it's also well, it may go up. I mean, there may be like cost of living increases or something like that, but it isn't like based on the number of flows or number of usage it gets. It's based on, here's your price, and I've had several. It's not even that uncommon. People say, look, I just got to know what my budget's going to be next year. I can't just put a program in place, or like this guy Jeff was talking about, multiple programs in place, and just not know what I'm going to be paying. And all of a sudden you get the bill, and what are you going to do? You're stuck, right? You invested 8 months of this, you have users using it, and all of a sudden your bill is running up. What are you going to do? Stop the train then? It's already well down the tracks going 100 miles an hour or whatever, So you all of a sudden you just got to keep shoveling the money out. And look, I'm not against Microsoft at all. I've worked with them for 30 years or more, not for them, but alongside with this collaboration with Crow Canyon. But there's a reason, they're a $3 trillion company, and because they get money from every which way. And look, it's look, I'll go up there, Redmond, meet the people, we have a good time, but it's not not like there isn't a reason they're in business, right? The reason that, and if we can do it, we're not trying to cut into their revenue or anything like that. We're just saying there are alternatives for you to consider, and we want to put it out there, that we have this tool and it's very useful. Hey, we're getting to the top of the hour. Any other questions we got here?
There's a question about whether existing Power Apps automated flows can be imported into NITRO Studio, and I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say the answer is it's not direct import, but it's something we could help you understand how you would move from one to the other. Right,
and remember earlier I was saying that, and when you invoke a workflow, you can invoke a Power Automate. So there's a bridge while you're going through, the process. And let me show you that again. Invoke workflow. In our invoke workflow, we made a bridge because people were using SharePoint designer workflows and Power Automate before they wanted to fully move on to NITRO Studio. And sometimes it's just not worth them recreating what they did in SharePoint designer workflows, for example, because they just want to just activate that, or they just take time to move off it, to kind of recreate it in NITRO Studio, right?
Right. That's exactly right. So
yeah.
But I think it's a good maybe stopping point, and
it is.
We have another webinar next week talking about.
I want to show that teaser though, James, about the. I'm just going to do the screenshot of Teams here, okay, and then we can end this. So, okay, use the web app instead. Of course, works on mobile and everything else. So we're gonna, here's what we're going to talk about next week is the where is it? The Nitro bot. Where's the Nitro Engage right there. They're going to talk about Nitro Engage and all the cool features it does, and how it can really help automate your processes and all that. And we'll have that all ready for you to show you all these different things you can do with our Nitro Engage bot. It's just all these different commands you can do. It's really cool. If you're on Teams, you're gonna want to go here, because really NITRO Studio is really a Teams integrated platform right now. It's really moving a lot in that direction. And of course, mobile, desktop, tablet, Here you go, different commands, open an access request, create an access request, whatever you want to do on here. I find this a lot of fun to work with, to see what can be done. You can enter your access request, the manager gets an approval. Don't have to even know they're using SharePoint. It's irrelevant at that point, right? Right, James?
Yep. Yeah, well, that's it. You know, and that's, you know, Teams is a good, you know, kind of front end. Well, I think a lot of people are aware, or maybe not, but SharePoint is basically the back end to Teams, more or less. But well, we can definitely dig into that in more detail when we're
let's have fun next week. Let's have fun with that next week. So I hope to see some of you on that. Meanwhile, don't hesitate to contact us about any questions, any concerns, or any, even, you know, if you want to challenge us and say, wait a minute, I'm using this and it's working fine. We just love being engaged with the community. That's all I can say. And talking to people and meeting and finding out what's going on out there. So appreciate everyone attending the webinar. Thank you, Jeff and James. I hope everybody got some good value out of this. And as they say in my Spanish class, hasta la vista, right? Hasta la vista. Is that right, Jeff? Hasta la vista.
Hasta. Yeah.
Hasta. That's right. Don't pronounce
the H.
Hasta la vista. Hasta la vista. Okay. Goodbye. Have a good one, everyone. See ya. Bye.